Hello, friends. This is Scott. We're back down at the hobby farm. This is the south side of my yard. And half this video was filmed a week ago, and the other half was filmed just the other day, a couple days ago. And so this is the newest footage. This is where I'm putting the corn. And as you see, looking at the bed that I prepared this year with cardboard and screen soil and some kind of so-so compost from the nursery, that the bindweed just decided it was time to grow back. So first step is I got my hori knife out, and I've got to try to get as much of the roots out of these bindweed as I can get. Now, bindweed's one of those crops that likes non-cultivated soil. It doesn't like disturbed soil. So if you stay on it and you keep messing with it, over time you can probably get on top of this stuff. But it's going to take time. And again, all I'm doing lately is pulling. Seems like I'm pulling bindweed, and that's the only weed that seems to be defeating me in my mulching process. But there's a look at the weeded bed, and it's ready for planting. Just got to rake it out a little bit. Now, I did buy a new garbage can, and again, the garbage cans seem to get smaller. This is only a 32-gallon when they used to be 50. But I got it full of the good stuff from the in-ground compost bin that I screened out. And I did get down into the very bottom of the bin, so I've got a little bit of sand and some soil. But that's some good stuff there. That's got lots of worm castings in it. So now another look at this garbage can. Again, it's a lot smaller than it used to be. And now you look at how the quality of the plastic is. This stuff is very, very non-strong. This garbage can's not going to last very long. But pouring it out was the hardest part because it just kept collapsing. So again, they don't make them like they used to, but it is what it is. You pay more money for smaller stuff these days, and that's true all the way to the garbage can. But I'm just going to fill a couple wheelbarrows full of the good stuff, and just going to put it up on top, and then as you'll see here in a minute, I'm going to rake it all out as far as it'll go, because I want a little bit of fertility in here, a little bit of organic life. And I have noticed an improvement in all my beds that I've been doing this with, so a lot more earthworms, a lot more of life in the soil. So it's going to take time. But again, that's what this is all about, is I'm just going to keep every year, keep bringing in new organic matter and spreading it around and making the beds more fertile. So it's just a process. But again, this is a first-year bed. I've never planted anything into this. So corn's a good crop to start with because I can add a little bit of supplemental nitrogen, which you'll see here in a minute. And I think the corn will do wonderfully here. Now, we decided to put the corn in this bed here rather than somewhere else away from the house is because it's the critters down here. We have some raccoons and possums and miscellaneous things I've yet to see. Neighbors have seen them this year. We also have deer, which could come in here and munch, but this is as close to the house as we can get. The cat door for my 3 cats living in the house or in the garage, the cat door is right across from this bed, so there's Miss Thing as I'm chatting with you about the cats. So hopefully they'll help keep some of the critters away also. But this is all blood meal, and I had a little bit in my truck. I had some bone meal too, but bone meal is more for root development and root crops. But blood meal is all nitrogen, has nothing else in it other than nitrogen. So it's great for corn because corn's a heavy feeder. Now you want to plant short, compact rows versus long, skinny rows because corn is a wind-pollinated plant. So if you were just to plant a couple long, skinny rows, you probably wouldn't get very good pollination. But, I think I'm doing 7 rows. And being in kind of a compact bed, they should have some good pollination. Again, I'm just using a stirrup hoe, just the side of it, just to make grooves. Again, this bed's bigger than most beds that I would do. I can't reach everything from any one side, so I'm just going to rake out or at least create furrows with this hoe. And I want it to be about 1 inch deep, because that's all corn needs is to be about 1 inch deep, and then get it covered good with good soil contact, and then again water it in, because that's corn's pretty user-friendly plant, and it's not a hard plant to grow. But I'm looking forward to getting some corn this year. The corn at the school garden grew well last year, but we had a rat from the neighbor's yard, and they ate all my corn as it was maturing. But there's the corn I got from IFA, just bulk corn. I think I got 1 pound. It's not cheap, but it's better than just buying those little package of seeds because you don't get a lot in those seeds. I do find with corn, if you buy a couple packs, you generally have enough corn for what most backyard gardeners will use for their garden. But if you're going to plant a bigger area, you got to buy the bulk. But I'm just putting, my strategy is to put 2 seeds fairly close together, about in groupings about 10 inches apart. And I want to do a couple seeds, so that way I don't have any germination problems, hopefully, because it's always, you can always go back and replant, but then you have plants that are already growing, and they'll shade out the younger plants, and you just won't get the same timing on pollination. So I want to make sure that everything is pollinated at the same time. So I want to just be safe, put a couple of seeds together on each 10-inch spot. A little fast planting here. And I am walking on the bed a little bit. I have to, but I don't like doing that. But again, when you have a bed this size, you really don't have a choice when you're planting. You have to do what you got to do. So there's a look. You can kind of see the seeds in there. And you can see the groupings of 2, and they'll just kind of help each other out as they grow. It's not going to hurt anything to have 2 together. The Native Americans used to grow them in little piles. They would just build a little pile and put 5, 6, 7 seeds in a pile in a circle, and then just let them grow together, and they'd support each other. So not a problem. But anyway, just using the rake, and I don't want to move the seeds around. I just want to cover them. So again, they want to be about 1 inch deep. So it's not scientific by any means, but I'm just pulling the soil over the seeds and just trying to get that soil coverage. And this bed is very dry because again, it's a brand new bed. I brought in new compost that was totally dry. So the most important thing with this, after getting everything planted, is I got to water it really heavily. I've got to do it a couple times just to make sure that gets down, all the water gets down to the roots, because that's the first thing that seeds do is they shoot down the taproot. And if they run into a desert, that's not going to help your plants grow, and it'll probably kill them. So you got to make sure you water heavily. Now, ideally, I would have watered this bed deeply, before I even, a week ago or so, and then started planting. I did water a little bit, but I don't think it was very deep. But here I am taking a rake and just making sure there's good soil to seed contact. And there's a look at the completed bed. And if I find seeds that are uncovered, I'll just push them down into the soil. But there we go. And then again, watering it in. So I watered it really heavily a couple times. I watered it heavy, watered other things, came back, watered it again. I want to make sure that seed gets in there. Now this is from the previous week. When I first made the beds that I showed you in the last video. These are green beans. These are bush beans. And this bed's a little wide. So I got to try to check the seeds. I don't want to walk in this bed. I don't want to compact it. But ideally, this bed would be a little bit smaller than it is, a little bit narrower. But I'm going to, I built it, so I got good stuff on there. So I'm going to go ahead and plant into it and see what we do. And I always lay the seeds out on the surface before I push them into the ground. Again, beans are like corn. They want to be about 1 inch deep. And they want to be 4 to 5 inches apart. And then they kind of help each other, support each other as they come up. So even a small little bed like this, as you see all the seeds on the surface, this is going to produce a lot of green beans. I mean, I'll have more green beans than I can eat out of this little bed. But simple process is when you have a new bed is there's no fuss with it. The soil's really loose, so you just push them down in the soil. Okay, it's going to take years for these beds to be fully mature and be fully fertile for the plants. But in the meantime, I can still get some pretty good harvest before these beds become better and more fertile. But here's some speed pushing into the seeds, and it's not a hard process. It's just on your hands and knees and just push them in the soil. And if I do see any seeds that come up to the surface that I didn't get pushed in far enough, I'll just push them in later. So not a big deal. And like everything, after you plant, you got to water. And so this is another really dry bed, and it's getting up close to 100 degrees down here now. Yeah, we've got a little bit of a heat spell, so you got to water every couple of days. There's the last bed I have that I've got to plant, but I can't plant it until I cut these trees down because they're shading this bed. So I think I'm going to put some sweet potatoes down here and maybe some other types of beans, maybe some hard beans, shell beans. But I've got to get my chainsaw and cut those trees. And new look at the sweet peas, and they turned out really good. The deer did not find them. They're in full bloom. Hopefully the deer don't find them at this point, but because they're ready to go and they're producing pods. And we're almost to the point of being able to pick. As you see, the pods are starting to fill out. So the next week, we'll have some sweet peas. Well, thanks for watching this video, and I'll show you some more of the garden progress on the next video. Thanks for watching.